You know that feeling when it is too hot to think, too hot to move, too hot to do anything except sit there and suffer. You have air conditioning, you have a refrigerator, you have cold water on demand. Now take all of that away, every single thing, and stand in the middle of an African savanna at 40 degrees with nothing but your own body and the people around you. This was not a bad day. This was just summer. For 300,000 years of human existence. And the question is how they actually survived it. Start with the body itself. The human body is one of the most sophisticated cooling machines in the animal kingdom. Most animals cool down by panting. Dogs do it, lions do it, it works, but it has limits. Humans sweat. And sweating is a completely different system. When sweat evaporates from the skin, it pulls heat directly out of the body. It is fast, it is efficient, it works even in extreme temperatures. The average human has between 2 and 4 million sweat glands. No other primate comes close to that number. This was not an accident. It was the result of millions of years of living in heat. The human body was literally built for hot weather. The problem is that sweating requires water. A lot of it. Lose too much water and the system fails. And in a world without water bottles, managing that balance was a matter of life and death. Ancient humans knew this without knowing the science behind it. They knew that moving in the middle of the day in extreme heat cost more than it gave back. Hunter-gatherer groups in hot climates did not hunt at noon. They hunted in the early morning, before the sun reached its peak, or in the late afternoon. When the temperature started to drop, the middle of the day was for shade, for stillness, for doing as little as possible. This is not laziness, this is physics. The human body burns energy to stay cool. Moving generates more heat. In extreme temperatures, the most efficient thing you can do is nothing. Ancient humans understood this through observation and they organized their entire day around it. Shade was the first technology. Before fire, before tools, before language, finding shade was one of the most important skills a group could have. Not just any shade, the right shade. Trees with wide canopies that blocked direct sun but allowed air to move through. Rock formations that created shadow in the afternoon. Riverbeds with dense vegetation on both sides. Ancient humans knew their landscape the way you know your own house. They knew where the shadow fell at midday. They knew which rocks stayed cool longest. They knew which areas caught the breeze and which ones trapped heat. That knowledge was not written down anywhere. It lived in the group and it was passed down because the people who didn't have it didn't survive the summer. Water was everything, not just for drinking. Ancient humans in extreme heat sought out water sources not only because they were thirsty, but because water itself lowered body temperature. Sitting near a river on a hot day cools the air around you. Wetting the skin and letting it evaporate works exactly like sweat, but faster. There is archaeological evidence of early human settlements clustered almost exclusively around permanent water sources in hot climates. Not just because they needed to drink, because water was the difference between a survivable summer and a deadly one. The groups that found reliable water sources and stayed near them through the hottest months were the groups that made it through. Mud was a solution nobody talks about. Covering the body in wet mud slows water loss from the skin. It creates a layer between the body and the direct heat of the sun. It dries slowly, and as it dries, it cools. Indigenous populations in hot climates across Africa and Australia used mud as a practical response to extreme heat. Not as decoration, not as ritual, as temperature management. The same logic behind a wet towel on your neck on a hot day. Ancient humans figured this out without any understanding of evaporative cooling. They just noticed that mud made the heat more bearable. That observation was enough. The group itself was a resource. In extreme heat, ancient humans huddled together in shade not just for social reasons, but for practical ones. A group of bodies in the same shaded space creates a microclimate. Shared breath raises humidity slightly. Reduced movement from everyone at once keeps the collective temperature lower. Children and elderly members of the group who were most vulnerable to heat were placed at the center. Away from direct exposure, protected by the bodies around them, the group functioned as a single organism managing its temperature collectively. Individual survival in extreme heat was much harder than collective survival. The instinct to stay together in difficult conditions was not just emotional, it was biological. Food changed in hot weather. Heavy meals generate internal heat as the body digests them. Ancient humans in hot climates during the hottest periods ate less, lighter things. Fruit, roots, things with high water content that cooled from the inside. The appetite naturally decreases in extreme heat. That is the body protecting itself, reducing the metabolic work of digestion to save energy for cooling. Ancient humans followed that signal without questioning it. The body told them what to do, and they listened. That instinct is still in you. It is why you don't want a heavy meal on the hottest day of summer. Your body is still running the same program it ran 300,000 years ago. Night was the reset. After a day of managed stillness and strategic shade, the temperature dropped, and ancient humans moved, hunted, gathered. covered distances that would have been impossible in the midday heat. The night in hot climates is not just cooler, it is a completely different world. Quieter, safer from some predators, more manageable for a body that had been conserving energy all day. Ancient humans in hot environments were often more active at night than during the day, not because they preferred the dark, because the heat left them no choice. And over time, that pattern shaped everything. The timing of hunts, the timing of social activity, the timing of sleep, the entire rhythm of life organized around a single fact, that the sun between noon and 4 in the afternoon was the most dangerous thing in the environment. Here is what is strange about all of this. None of it required invention. None of it required technology. The human body already had the tools: sweat glands, temperature regulation, reduced appetite in heat, the instinct to seek shade and water and stillness. Everything ancient humans needed to survive extreme heat was already built into them. What they added was knowledge, knowing where the shade fell, knowing when to move and when to stay still, knowing which water sources were reliable, knowing how to read the landscape for coolness the way you read a map for directions. That knowledge accumulated over thousands of summers, passed from person to person, refined with every heat wave and every death that came from ignoring it. The result was a species that could live in places that should have been uninhabitable, not because they were stronger than the heat, because they were smarter about it.